hello. Good afternoon, Miss Elle
Hello.
Bryant. No relation, of course.
None.
Pieces of Elle. So, for folks who may or may not know, this is June Smith, Art in June, and we are sitting today speaking with um, somebody who I'm going to say I'm a little bit biased, only because she is my daughter, but she is a force of her own. She is not one to be reckoned with, and she's a creative like me. So, hey, I have two daughters who are creative, and of course, that's why I do what I do. So I'm going to welcome Miss Elle Bryant to the platform. Thank you for
Yay.
joining us this afternoon. How are you, daughter?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much. I appreciate that warm introduction.
Of course.
I'm
Who
doing
would
good.
not be? It's only because of you and your sister that we are even having these kinds of conversations because, I feel like the great thing about our relationship is the fact that we're able to be very honest, even if it hurts, with each other about the work that we do, right? And
Yeah.
you are my sounding board and I am your sounding board. And, we are each other's support systems and biggest fans. So as I was doing this and talking to you guys about it, I know at some point y'all were like, oh God, I'm so tired of hearing about this, but look at where we've come with it. And so I really have to pay homage to you and your sister for just kind of, critiquing me and giving me some ideas about how to go about doing this, because it is so very, very necessary. And people are really liking it. So, hey, let's get into
They
it. Let's talk
are.
about
I
this.
know.
Yeah, people are
Hey,
really liking it. And I'm so very grateful and blessed, but I cannot take all the credit for it. So I wanted to really begin to amplify conversations and amplify people and creatives like yourself. So let's talk. So
yeah, it's
tell people
fantastic.
a little bit about who you are. Who is Elle Bryant? And what do
Uh,
you do? And, give us all the dirty.
the dirty. So geez, people ask you like who you are, and you're like, oh, I don't know.
I
But
know.
no, I because we're so many things, right? I'm a hyphenated entrepreneur. That's first and foremost, really derived out of the creative culture and the creative space. I'm a wardrobe stylist, a professional wardrobe stylist in the TV film arena. So entertainment, public figure, private client, and wardrobe concierge services is, where the root of my talents lie. However, I've also decided that based out of that skill set and based on those relationships that I've curated well over some odd years, I have decided to also launch a athleisure collection. It's called Poathleisure. So I am not only styling, obviously curating and designing that, but also producing and manufacturing that in the retail space. So that's very exciting because I don't feel like there is a lot of representation in the POCC community when it comes to athleisure, when it comes to owning a fashion house in any capacity, really. And then the ones that have made it and that are successful, obviously, make history for the reason that I'm explaining right now. So hopefully, and methodically, co-athleisure will also be on that number. And in addition to that, as a consultant, I also, consult with other people about image, how to actually start and launch their own brands. And I can attribute that to my background in PR and, development. I can also attribute that to my expertise in visual design on many different levels: food, uh, merchandising and retail, staging, and etc. Also now with people in wardrobe. So it all kind of goes very much hand in hand. I'm looking forward to launching my nail collection, my press on nail collection, which is something I'm very known for, is my cool creative nails. Da, 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 da. I'm just going to show you today what I
Of
have going on.
course. Of course.
And in that in that lane, nails and the way that we design ourselves, in our makeup, in our nails, in our hair is all a part of styling. It's all an extension of styling and staging the presentation that we want to present to the world. So the press on nail thing is very important to me because it speaks directly to my unique identity. Also gives people an extension of my personality, and same way through Poet Leisure. And I just kind of feel like it's not only a way for me to leave a mark on my legacy, but also to really highlight the things about me that I love the most. And that's my brain child. And that's also, my ability to be expressive in so many different ways. For some people it's music, for some people it's performing arts, for me it's this, it's image design, it's
Right.
complete head to toe image design in the way that I
Right.
look at the world. So
Yeah.
that is who I am and what I do. I think I hope I
That's a
answered that
lot.
question.
That's
Mm-hmm.
loaded. That's a loaded question, right?
Yeah.
And it's a
Mm-hmm.
loaded question because I think, when people think of styling or when they only think of it in a very unilateral way, right? They only
Yeah.
think about it as like, oh, getting dressed and, going to an event or whatever. But I think, it's kind of very similar to when I talk about art being like oxygen, right?
Yeah.
Everything that we do, everything that we talk about as it relates to art is like oxygen because art is involved in every single thing that we do. It's in a chair, it's in a table, it's in clothing, it's in
Absolutely. That is it.
furniture. It's not just one thing. And so I get really passionate and I get
Hyphenated.
yeah, because it's like, come
Mhm.
on, if you say you're a stylist, all right, that is
Yeah.
vast. And that doesn't mean that you need to limit yourself in any one way. And so I thank you for being able to show the multi layers of that. And that to me is what makes this conversation so exciting. So tell me
Yeah.
something. So how did you even get into this? Like what made you say
Ooh.
one day, I think I want to do this? Like
Yeah.
what were your inspirations?
Okay. So inspirations. The first inspiration I think came from just my being around creative parents. My style inspirations come from, my community. So being raised by, a father who's an entertainer, and you who kind of had the whole colorful career in journalism and publishing, and being around those cool kids, has opened me up to so many types of festivals, and the festivals we would go to in Harlem, the street fairs, that's really what opened me up to thrifting and really finding those vintage pieces, those what we call classic pieces in my world, those timeless pieces that you just can't duplicate ever again, but that are so well made. So the fabric choices are so, refined. And then also it's the lining, it's all the details in those vintage pieces, why thrifting is such a popular choice. And then you know so those are like where my inspirations come from. I think being immersed in that culture and that creative space with so many types of colorful people really.
Oh, what happened?
Yeah, I got you. So, so being surrounded in that culture and with all those creative and colorful people and things that I've gotten to see, like I think actually probably things that people don't see or experience in their lifetime. When you're around so many people that share that same love for art and culture, it just it just opens these vessels in your mind that you're like, oh my God, look at all the possibilities. I think
Yeah.
that's where the inspiration comes from, as far as my love for fashion and my love for how fashion fits the body. And it can be like, it's not a language, it's literally a appreciation for presentation. When people say, oh, I love her style, I love the way you're put together, I love the way you look, what they're really saying is they're admiring the way that how you present shows on
You
your body,
present.
shows on
Yeah.
yourself, right? And they can appreciate that work of art, or that refinement to those details to make you really look like a full, complete package. And that's how we buy, that's how we shop as consumers. That's how we are attracted to certain things and places, is the beauty in those things we see. Essentially, to your point, all styling. So that is where my inspiration comes from. I think that for my background and how entering this environment, I started out as like a child model, pretty much, went into the beauty pageant world, dance after that, or I would say during the same time, being in the dance world, the dance culture, and then kind of opening myself up to modeling professionally and kind of being on set and working with so many makeup artists, talented wardrobe stylists, photographers, some of the best, has really exposed me to like all the different sides of just that side of the entertainment industry. And I was like, oh my God, like I love fashion, but I also love to, put people in things that I think make them look their
Right.
best. And when they look their best, they feel better because they present better, they're
Absolutely.
more confident, they stick out. They're just
Yeah.
like, oh, look at all these
Yeah.
compliments I'm getting. It really does really show that case study that like when you're positively reinforced, it projects more just positivity and heighten,
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah, that heightened vibration. And
Yeah.
so that's a part of what I want to be a part of. Plus, you're in a very intimate space when you're getting dressed every day. It's a decision you have to make. It's a choice. You can have the control over how you want to feel that day, how you want to look, and maybe a reflection of your feelings, whether
Yeah.
we are subconsciously aware of that or not. And I've
Yeah.
always thought that that was just somehow so much deeper to me. And I cared about that so much more because you can look at a work of art and once it's already done, you can admire it for as long as you want. And I think that that type of connection for me is what drives my passion for like not wanting to leave this. I'm almost addicted to that feeling of being of feeling like, wow, you have just changed my mood. You've changed my environment essentially. And that's kind of what got me into wardrobe styling and imaging, wardrobe, I would say image consulting. So that I can just kind of really help someone foster that pattern of consistency in their own life, either for that moment as a character, as themselves every day, or even I would say a revitalized version of themselves. I want to reintroduce myself to the world as this way. And here I am, an expert in this field, helping you do that in your own voice, though, in your own
Yeah.
language,
Yeah. Yeah.
not the
Yeah.
language
Yeah.
that that people think you should be based on trends or things that are temporary. We want timeless feelings, and that's how
Yeah.
I convey that in the fashion world.
Well, what's cool about that is that so thank you for sharing that because I feel like, to unpack that is so vitally necessary. And I say that because I think that people don't really think about the fact that when, if you're having a crummy day, if I'm feeling like not my best, all I know how to feel better is by getting dressed and making sure that
Yeah,
I look really cute on that
exactly.
given day, right? And as soon as I look really cute, somebody may say, "Oh my, you look really nice," and then or automatically that
Exactly.
energy automatically helps you feel better, right? So I totally agree with you on that. I guess the
Yes.
thing that
Exactly.
makes me really fascinated by this is also to let's have a conversation about how we're feeling, right? The and as we're doing this creative process, as we're entering into this creative process, and as we're thinking about how we want people to feel, how we want people to feel, how we want to cheer folks up when we interact with them. Talk to me a little bit about that because I'm sure as you're going through your creative process of even you designing or putting together a package for a client or getting ready to get on set to create a wardrobe for a commercial, you're not always probably feeling your very best. You're not
Mhm.
always probably, some days you're feeling maybe a little down, a little low. Um,
Yeah.
so talk to me a little bit about, what are the challenges that you find physiologically, mentally, as you're in your or entering your creative process? Because we know what the other side of that looks like, right? We know that it's going to be a beautiful finish, whatever
Right.
that is, right?
Right.
But what is happening to you as you're thinking about this work that you now need to embark upon?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think with any new thing, you have that first layer of anxiety. I think that's with, I don't want to speak for everybody, but I feel like if we're human beings, anytime we're entering something unknown, new, which is each project, because it's a case by case basis. So there's no one method or one playbook that you can follow every single time. To your point, what you just mentioned about a commercial being different from a person, being different from a set, it's all different environments, different energy, different responsibility in my space. But I think sometimes when I enter, yeah, I have that first layer of anxiety, even though you prepare, which I'm going to say is the first level of, I hope, what everyone should do, be prepared for the possibility of the best and worst case scenario.
Right.
So I think that you have that going on, and I'm aware of that psychologically. I'm like aware of the best and worst case scenario. Um, and then I try to be prepared for both so that way, whatever happens, happens, right? You can
Yeah.
control those
Minimize.
variables.
Yeah.
Right. Do your best. But then on the other hand, you want to make sure that, yes, your energy is something that people can receive, that's approachable, because I am getting people dressed and undressed. I am getting, I'm seeing their vulnerabilities without, supportive enhancements or, you know, and I'm talking about, any braces or bandaging or any corsetting, anything like that that can hide those what we think are our imperfections. It's my job to make sure that I'm approaching the situation with every single person in every single environment with the best and highest vibration. Always making that positive choice of reinforcing versus finding the things that are a flaw or that could be negative. Like, I'm never, ever, ever in a situation on any project where I walk into it negatively, no matter what's happening in the environment around me. And I've been in situations where people have had meltdowns, where people have, been in so many heightened moments. But once they put it on, it's that constant reinforcement of letting your client know, like, this is your this is your profession. This is your talent. You are owning this industry in this moment. It's that exchange of just positive comments and that reminder of, don't let anything get into your way right now, meaning get into your mind. If I'm reminding
Hmm.
someone of that, then you have to understand that I myself have to remind myself of the same
Right.
exact thing.
Right.
Don't let
You're
anything
telling
get
your,
into your mind.
yeah.
This
Yeah.
is your role, and this is what you're an expert in. And if you're an expert in acting, if you're an expert in singing, and as a rapper or singer or anything in that way. It could even be a professional. This is your expertise. Don't forget it. This is why we're here. Let's just move forward in that. And once you can get that helmet on, and that just starts to become what you hear, and that becomes now your new pattern for yourself. Obviously, I'm pouring into you. You're going to do your absolute best. Now you're
Right.
going to look at yourself with a different posture. Now you're going to look at yourself and say, wow, like, you know what? Shoot, this is what I do. This is what I know how to do. I am the master of this lane, and that is now that whole piece of garment, whatever we're putting on, whatever you decide to step into, now you make it look even better with that personal drip, that
Absolutely.
personal swag that you
Sure.
add on top of it, which is what they call charisma, or, what they call presence. And that's what I'm here for. I'm here to allow you as the master of your lane to command your presence in that space.
Correct.
That's what I do.
That's
So
good.
I'm a doctor of looks. You
Oh,
know
no,
what I'm
no, no.
saying?
And I totally could receive that, because, there are moments, and this, no secret. There are moments I'm thinking I'm looking really cute. I'm thinking, like, my outfit is fly, and I'll be talking to you, or I happen to be just, saying, "Hey, give me your opinion on this," and you'll be like, no. And I'm like, "What do you mean? This looks really good." But it's really funny, because I think that sometimes the way we see ourselves is not the way others see us, right?
Exactly.
And I
Hmm.
think that is what makes this whole process so exciting. So tell me something. So what astonishes you amidst the creative process? Like, what's the thing that really makes you go, "Wow,
Yeah.
I
I
didn't see
think what
that
makes
coming"?
you, yeah, I feel that. I think what astonishes me is the fact that, that every time you walk into a situation, every time you walk into a booking or a gig or whatever, um, you never can predict what's going to happen. I think it's crazy. I think creatives are crazy because we can never predict what's going to happen, but we know that our talent is so solid that whatever that is going to be good. It astonishes me that I blow my own mind sometimes and
Okay.
that I I test every time is an ability to test my limits, to
Sure.
test my skills, and to sharpen that skill with each experience. Like, that's crazy. You can go into work every day, do the same job for 15 years. No
Yeah.
disrespect to anybody that has a
Yeah.
traditional. But what I'm saying is, you go into that job, do the same role for 15 years, and never learn anything new. And I think what is astonishing about what I do is that every situation is new. You learn something new in every moment. And all it does is it's like you become wise in that space, right? Like
Yeah.
that wisdom. Now it's
Yeah.
like you can plan for best and worst case scenario because you've seen the worst and you've been a part of the best and you can fall in between based on what happens. Right.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but those are skills that you sharpen that you don't get to sharpen when you're doing the same thing all the
Sure.
time.
Yeah.
Students
No.
have to matriculate in school because they have to grow in their knowledge. What is different with what we have going on in the art space, in fashion, in music? You have to expose yourself to different things in order to become a master of of your talent. And
Yeah.
like this is what it is. That is
Yeah.
astonishing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some
No,
people call it crazy.
I
And I'm
I
like,
I don't even want to say crazy
it's
because
crazy. It's
I
not
don't even know if I
crazy,
want to use that word anymore, but
but it's
I
not.
do
Right.
believe that
Mm-hmm.
it keeps you on your toes.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Exactly. Yeah.
if you are really
It keeps your
honest,
mind sharp.
yeah, if you are really honest about this work, whatever that talent is, you have to be prepared, but you also have to know that there's a fine line that you're walking between preparedness and vulnerability, right? And
Right.
out of that, to
Mm-hmm.
me, comes the
Yeah.
mastery because you're
Yeah.
probably more self-conscious about what you're doing than everybody
Exactly.
else. And so
Exactly.
you might, and as I would always say to you and your sister when you guys were kids, overlearn stuff, right? Be over
Mhm.
prepared. And because if you're that, then whatever comes with it, you're not going to falter too much, right? To the
Right.
left or to the
Mhm.
right. You're going to be solid in what you do. But I feel like, sometimes the challenges that we might have mentally within our own selves, right? Be it that we're having some anxiety, be it that we're having some depression or whatever, sometimes can help to make us second guess that ability.
Mhm. Mhm.
Have you ever had any kind of experience around those spaces? And if you have, share with us a little bit about that.
Is your question about second guessing my ability?
Second guessing your ability because you're feeling that maybe there's an insecurity about something that you're feeling. So, for example, I'll give you an example in my own situation. I suffer from depression, right? And so when I first started suffering from depression, it was not something that I really even knew what it was called. I just knew I felt a little different. And so one of the things that I really wanted to be able to do was, as time has gone on, I've been able to really manage it well, and I've been able to understand what it is that causes me to make to probably have an episode or to trigger something in me, right? I know the things that I cannot do, and I know the things that I do to make myself balanced at all times. Have you ever had any kind of situations or experiences in those fields? So as I am preparing, as I'm writing a story, or as I'm getting ready to, talk talk in front of a bunch of people, I might be in the middle of having something going on, but now I need to figure out how I'm going to get through that, how I'm going to manage that. What are some of the coping mechanisms that I need to now include in my life, in my
Mhm.
everyday conversations? And so that vulnerability of who I am in my mind, I know that the audience is not seeing that, but in my mind, I think they are, right?
Mhm.
So my creative process kind of becomes a little bit, could kind of become a little fragmented because I'm overthinking that somebody else is seeing my vulnerability. And therefore, and that has nothing to do with anybody, all my stuff, but I now need to figure out how to get through that stuff. And I
Mm-hmm.
just think that even though the end result is a great end result, going through that creative process, nobody talks about that. I'm not going to
Yeah.
come out and say to the audience, here, this is what was happening to me as I got out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, have you ever had like a situation like that that you can actually recall?
Yeah. I was having I had to meet with a client to do a fit session recently, and I felt like the whole day had just fell onto my shoulders. Like, you know how you just wake up and you're like, "Dang, when it's raining, it's snowing." You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah,
It was one of those days. And I think overall, the first thing is like I think I'm a pretty good manager of my stress because I've figured out how to categorize my stress. You know, all stress is not just because life is going to always happen. That's because we're people, right? And we have to live. But once you know that, if you can simplify that stress by asking yourself, one, is this something I can do something about or not? Two, w- do I have any control over this moment? Do I have any control over the thing that is making me feel overwhelmed? Because I
right.
think that depression comes from being just overwhelmed,
Yes,
overwhelmed with either your feelings, your thoughts, whatever. So that helps kind of take that first layer off. Can I do something about it? Yes or no? Based on that response, you then know what to do. I think also anxiety comes in and not feeling like you know what to do. But
right,
when you have the answer to the question, then your anxiety can go away because the outcome is unpredictable.
right.
So, you know what I'm saying? And I think that so for me in that moment, when I had to do the fit session with him, I walked in and honestly, I was just not my, as bubbly self in that moment as I normally would be. I know he felt that. And because my consistency is what it is, he was like, you're good. You need anything? And I was just like, actually, I'm good. Can do something about it. Not good news, but I certainly am it's gonna get handled. Like nothing
Right,
crazy
right,
there, thank
right,
God. And it's not health related, so even better, right? But,
right.
as long as it doesn't affect your essentials, your health, your home, or your finances, I think that eliminates 60% of problems. Okay. Moving
Yeah,
forward, what I said to him in that moment was, in that moment, I'm not going to be dishonest and discount what he obviously knows to be true because he can sense it, whatever you want to call
consensus.
it, the
Sure.
intuition, whatever you
Yeah,
want to say.
yeah.
We're not like friends. So it's not like he would, or would have known me on a personal level at that time to be able to say, this is you, not you. It's just a vibe. And that's that vibration I was referring to earlier. Okay. I was on a lower vibration, and that's me being aware of myself. I am normally on a high functioning, high vibration energy. So I have to give. I have energy to give because I'm in
No
excess.
kidding.
But and that's normally how I am. But this day I wasn't. And every day is gonna be not a good day. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? But the goal is to have most days be pretty good
be-
days, right?
yeah,
Manageable.
manageable.
And
Yeah,
so I was honest and I said, even as a professional in that moment, I knew I was in a professional moment. I said, you know what? That's me looking at the person. I said, you know what? I'm actually I'm actually not in a good mood right now. But I said everything is going to be fine. I can say that. I said, but i- other than that, let's get started. You know what I'm saying? To at least just validate I'm not dumping. I don't have to explain. I don't need to do anything more. Confirm your feelings, let you know it's going to be cool. I'm not going to interrupt your time,
good.
however,
Good for
with
you.
my situation.
Right, right.
And that's why you have a therapist. That's why you have a community. That's why you have friends. You
Yeah,
have people to vent to. It's not the time to vent to your clients, your audience, or anything in that realm for people
yeah.
that, especially when you're in a vulnerable moment, to now give an opinion. You're giving
Right,
them
right.
an option to have an
Yeah,
opinion about your situation because you chose to
exactly.
share. And
Yeah,
that's the biggest mistake that people can make. They call it nowadays like, oh, I'm just open, I'm open. But there's a level of discretion while being open.
I
You
agree.
know what I'm saying? And I think that
Yeah.
that filter has to come in
Oh,
to
yeah.
play. at all times. That will help control your mental health. That will help control how you show up in your energy. And like, you don't want to interrupt someone else's mental health with your triggers. Now you're triggering them, and now you're just triggering each other. And
Right. Because you
now
don't
we
know
have an
what they're
argument.
struggling with either.
We have an
Yeah.
argument. People are like defensive. Like there's
Right.
so many outcomes, but
Yeah.
that's because, we're not managing ourselves, and being aware of ourselves means being honest with ourselves, and that sometimes that honesty comes in the times where you are having those moments of depression, or you're having those moments of second guessing yourself, asking yourself in that space, like, why, how, when, who, am I the problem? When did this happen, or when did this start? When did I
Yeah.
notice a shift?
Yeah.
Asking yourself those moments come in time of reflection when you actually have to hunker down and
Taking
spend time
accountability.
being quiet. Yes.
Absolutely. Taking
It's an
accountability.
inventory. It's an
Yeah.
inventory of
Yeah.
yourself. So yeah, that's what happened recently. The outcome ended up again being perfectly fine. He was, I think, appreciative to know that, like, hey, yeah, okay, cool. You're not in a good mood. I hope it gets better. I told him it was gonna be fine. So I'm sure he knew it was better. And but he's still a client. I still want to maintain that relationship
Yeah.
and that level of professionalism at all times to present, as the expert that I am. And you're gonna have those times in your life. Like that's completely normal. Again, just making sure that we're emphasizing that filter, um, to just manage what happens next, I would say. You can definitely do that. So that's
Yeah.
my
No, thank you for that. That's really interesting. So, um, we could talk forever because I feel like, when we get into these conversations, and as I've been talking to folks, we'll start talking about one thing, it leads us down this whole rabbit hole of a whole bunch of other things. And before I
Mm,
look up, it's like time to end it. And I'm like, oh my God, we just like started to like scrape the surface. But we
mhm,
still have a little bit more time. We don't have a lot more time, but we have a little bit more time because I kind of wanted to understand, like, when you're talking about managing your emotions, I think one of the things that people don't always think about is the mindfulness of it all, right? Being present. I think sometimes when we're not present, when we're not self-aware, that's when some of those things that you were talking about happens,
yeah.
right? And so I think it's a job in and of itself to just be mindful, to be present. We're so worried about the past, we're so worried about the future. We never really kind of stay in the present, and
Mm,
that for me, one of the hardest things I think I've learned in life is that I can't do anything about the past. It's already done.
mhm,
I don't really
mhm.
think I can do too much about the future because I don't even know if I'll live beyond tomorrow, beyond today,
Yeah, that's a
right?
fact.
So
Yeah, that is a fact.
right, the only thing I really have is now. And
Mhm,
I think that once I started really becoming real with that, I really began to see that I have no control at all. And the things that I thought I knew, I don't know as much as I thought I did, and
yeah,
I'm okay with that, right? Um, what is so in spite of that, like I still think that as I'm going through that transformational space of being present, there's still some little magical things that happen along the course of the day that still gives me goosebumps, you know um either it's I'm thinking about somebody and they call, right,
mm,
and that
mhm.
seems really minor, but sometimes that gives me goosebumps because it's somebody that I don't really talk to often, so when you talk about vibration and you talk about that mental telepathy thing, that energy, that's very, very real. What
So
gives you
true.
goosebumps?
That's a good question.
I try,
What gives me goosebumps about my day, or what gives me
anything
goosebumps in general?
in
Okay.
general, anything.
Triumph stories give me goosebumps always. I think anytime someone has the ability to rise above a situation, to tunnel, vision their path in the midst of adversity, or when I guess what we would call sometimes the underdog moment, where it's like, oh, that'll never happen. The triumph is what gives me goosebumps. People being able to
Oh,
outperform themselves. Like they outperform themselves in the sense of, I never thought this would happen. And look what happened, something that was a dream now is a reality. And you're like, whoa, that is overwhelming. It really, really is. The other thing that I think is overwhelming is people's ability to see your passion through your behavior. I think it's overwhelming sometimes for me to have other people echo what I feel about what I do. Like they see it in the way I present myself. They see it in my environment in my home. They see it in the way I style my food. They see it in so many ways. And what they do is they echo that effort that I'm putting into, fostering my talent in as many different ways as I possibly can.
Okay.
I think that that overwhelms me sometimes, so much so that it almost makes me shy. And I have the
You
reverse
shy?
effect of, I'm not like, "Oh," I'm like, "Oh, no," and I kind of withdraw, and I'm like, "I'm shining too bright," or I never thought anybody else would notice, is kind of where I am coming from with that. And I think those two things on a regular basis, you know, um, happen because every day we wake up, it's a different day. You're never going to see yesterday again,
Correct.
and so you're like, dang, new people say it, or,
Excuse me. Mhm.
sometimes when what we call the universe talks to us, it's not, it's that oozing out of, and what we're constantly repeating.
Yeah.
That out, I'm telling you, that outperformance of our own talent and potential is overwhelming. And you can test that when you actually are able to apply your talents where they belong. I think that's when we can test it the most. And that's when we're having the most anxiety, the most, what we call the nerves, whatever the case may be. That's when you can really apply it the most. And that's when I think that's the difference between the stars, and and their supporters. When we can, like, and the star could be your star in any realm that you're in, real estate, finance, law. It could be in any area, art. But when we outperform what we thought we can do or where we thought it was going to go, and that makes anybody, I think that would make anybody, like, let me take a
Mm.
step back, just say,
Yeah, yeah,
wow.
yeah. Yeah. Makes it kind of scary sometimes. Which I don't really like to even use that word because I don't feel like we're born with fear. I think we learn it.
Yeah, me
But
too.
but
Me too.
I do think that it becomes so overwhelming to you as you're experiencing the journey, um that you do have to take a break sometimes and step back. And I think that's okay, right? Because it allows you to recalibrate and reposition yourself for that ride, whatever that ride may be, rocky, smooth, intensive,
Yeah.
placid, but it allows you to really begin to take it all in. And I think that's why I'm saying I'm so invested in being present in the moments of things,
Mhm.
because it does not, if you don't, you lose the ability to really feel
To feel.
present and
Yeah.
appreciate it,
Mhm.
to
Yeah.
really feel.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's just really cool. Um, okay, I'm so excited about this because I just think it's good. And so as I'm talking to you, I'm curious to know, like, what's your motto for the day? Like
I
when
don't
when
know if
you do you have a motto?
I don't think I live by a motto. Mm-mm. No.
Okay,
I'm someone that's more based on experience. I've learned that, like, peace is paramount. So whatever's not peaceful for today is not a priority.
okay, so that's a
Okay.
motto.
So maybe that's a motto. I
Yeah,
guess
maybe
I do follow
that's a
that
motto,
one.
and that's okay.
That's a mantra. But
Yeah,
no, I don't typically look at quotes and say, oh yeah, that's me, whatever. I just kind of say I either understand that based on experience or I don't understand that based on perspective. And but like what I realize is, like, peace, meaning having control even over your stress, even over your environment, your moment, whatever. Like peace is paramount. Don't let nothing enter your orbit that is not going to bring you that peace that you need to think straight. You know what I'm saying? Because you can only plan in the proper
Derail,
environment.
I can
Hmm.
derail you into a whole,
Yeah. So
a whole
that's really where it's at.
quadrant
That's-
of chaos.
I'm
And
telling you.
and once things go awry, it never kind of gets back on track.
Off.
And then
Yeah.
you're
Yep.
off to the races. So
And
what's next for
yeah.
you? What are you doing next? What's going on? You're all over the
Well,
place. What's going on
not
next?
really. I think that I am pretty much in one place because I think that I've figured out how to monopolize my industry. I think
I say
I
you're
have
not,
just
you're all over the place. You're always going somewhere is what I mean.
visiting new places. Yeah,
Yeah,
I love to travel.
no
So I
kidding.
love to travel. I love to see places I haven't seen before and make new experiences because I just feel like it just helps deepen my understanding of demographics, of people's culture based on where they live. And, that only makes me more well-rounded. And
Yeah,
I love that.
yeah,
I really, really love that. And I'm someone who absorbs a lot of information. So I feel like based on that skill set and also, new perspectives that I'm helping myself to open my mind up a lot more. But what's next, I think, obviously, outside of athleisure, being in, Target, um, Walmart, in terms of just having a collection that's commercially accessible for a wider audience. Also, doing some fashion shows and pop-up events in different cities. I think that I'm going to be able to really pair my brand with my other brands very easily in the stylized experience that people are going to get when they show up. And anybody who knows me understands that because I live my life like that, right? So yes, the pretty foods and the pretty plating mixed with the pretty looks and also the pop and nails. Like it speaks to everybody. Men can come, women can come, you'll be able
So,
to experience
wait,
it.
so the nails, yeah, but
Mhm.
okay, so because there are men who are painting their nails too, you know.
Sometimes clear,
So
sometimes a color.
right, so I was just gonna say, so how does that work? How are you gonna
I mean,
um
I think that for guys, maybe I'm
yeah,
gonna decide to do something along the lines of a sticker. Stickers are something that we would use as what they call decals.
right,
And they can put that on their nails. Excuse me. Or having just maybe some basic color options for
yeah,
if they
okay,
are going to be doing something. I
wanting
mean,
to,
I don't want all the nails to look like mine. I want them to be
right,
inspired by, and I want them to still have I want to be able to have different options for people's preferences.
yeah, and their
Everyone
style,
does.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
So, men can experience it from that perspective, but coathleisure is definitely unisex. And so something that I definitely am going to ensure that I have some really cool looks for males and females, especially for those that like to gym and also brunch maybe afterwards or go do run errands or something like that. And that the pieces that can easily fit into their wardrobe that they already have, to
nice,
easily match with whatever, so that can really be for anyone.
yeah,
But I want people to be able to start to associate pieces of Elle with like an experience every single time because
nice,
that's an extension of really who I am. That is a piece of me for real. And I mean that with every single thing,
yeah,
how I
no,
do
I
it, what I
totally get
do.
that, yeah, I
It
get
is
that.
literally an extension of me. I completely am how I am.
We know,
What I sell is what I do.
we
And I'm
know.
like this every single day. So people that are close to me know that about me. And they're like, oh girl, you should have been doing this, or I already know when I come to your events, I'm gonna have to dress. I'm gonna have to look amazing. I'm gonna have to do my best, or I'm gonna get the best experience out of spending my
Right,
what's priceless time, with
sure,
you, supporting
sure.
you and opening, your world. So
I'm
that's what's
excited.
next.
I need to be styled for that event actually. But the event that we're talking about, folks, if you don't know, is the Art in June brand launch that we're doing in
Yes.
collaboration with Bergen Newbridge Medical Center. Bergen Newbridge Medical Center is a space and a resource that is a charity hospital, 55% charity hospital, but it's also a place where a lot of folks who may have challenges with mental wellness, it's a place where they can go and get service. And so I'm very passionate about
Amazing.
that. And so we're going to have a great time. And I'm so glad that you're coming
Gonna
to
be
help
amazing.
style the event
Yes,
for me.
absolutely.
How
Yes.
can people find you? I'm
I
excited.
wouldn't
How
miss
can
it.
people find you?
I mean,
What's your Instagram?
we have this thing called the Instagram,
The Instagram.
that you can find me at pieces of L underscore. You can also follow my athleisure brand at Po Capsule, which is also at Po Athleisure on Instagram. Um,
And what's your
and
website?
obviously visit me online at www.piecesofl.com. And I look forward to everything that's coming my way
I
and
know.
everything that's coming our way at this event that's happening on June 19th. It's amazing. And thank you to that foundation for supporting such a valuable experience and such a valuable movement, of really fostering the proper care in the mental health space that so many people need, that affect so many people. I
Yeah.
really, really, really hope that people really take away the influence and the impact of expression and really using what we feel to bleed into the world in such a positive and beautiful way, turning those, like what they call lemons into lemonade, right? No, but quite literally, really allowing ourselves to feel and express that and let it go, release it so that we don't
Yeah.
carry it, so I'm
Absolutely.
really excited about that. Yay.
From your lips to God's ears, I am very
That's it.
excited too. I'm very grateful, very, very grateful for
Yeah.
all of the folks that I've been talking to. You, of course, listen, real talk, you're my
Thank you.
biggest fan. I'm your biggest fan. That's how
Mhm.
we roll. That's how we'll always roll. And I think that the beauty of this is just to kind of watch you from the sidelines do what you do,
Yeah.
and be very, very impressed by, oh, this is
Thanks.
this is a part of me.
Right.
So I did something right, I guess, huh?
Right. A
Um,
little bit.
but
Thank
listen, a deep bow to you, my daughter. A
you.
deep bow to you for who you are and for what you are becoming. And I wish you nothing but the best of success. I can't wait to
Thank you.
see the next venture.
I am so excited about it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
You're welcome.
That means everything to me. Thank you very much. And thank you for this moment. I appreciate the space to share.
Absolutely. Gotta have that.
But yeah,
Gotta
you
have
do.
it.
You do.
Bye bye.